My name is Quilty and I'm from DCU and I'm a partner in the project. Okay. So, Waterspout is essentially a sustainable household water treatment in sub-Saharan Africa using solar energy, sunshine. Okay. Waterspout stands for Water, Sustainable Point of Use Treatment Technologies, and it was a project funded by the EU quite recently in June of last year, and it's been funded for a 4-year period. It will go until 2020. 18 partners in 11 countries in 2 continents with a budget of nearly 4 million. So it's a very exciting project and one which we are currently all enjoying being involved with and which shows great promise for the future. As you can see on the map, we have we have 3 partners in Ireland, RCSI who lead the project, DCU and the National University of Ireland Maynooth. And you'll soon see that all 3 of us play a very pivotal role in this exercise. We also have partners in other universities, SMEs and research institutes. So these include University in Strathclyde in Scotland, University in Buckinghamshire in the UK, the Netherlands where we have the UNESCO IHE organisation. In Spain we have 4 partners, 2 of them being universities, one in Madrid and one in Santiago de Compostela. And we have an SME involved who's very involved in the production of some of the technology. And very importantly, our partner in Almeria, in the south of Spain, where of course they have sunshine all year round. And we can use this facility to test our prototypes rather than having to depend on the sunlight in Africa. We have partners in Italy who are looking after the management of the project, in Austria who are looking after some of the novel technology, including an indicator for the sodas process, a university in Turkey, and very importantly our African collaborators. These include Ethiopia, Uganda, Malawi and South Africa. In all cases we are working with the universities in these 4 countries. And the aim is to develop, field test and pilot large volume solar treatment technologies. So solar treatment of water and the focus on this technology dates back now about 20 years. My collaborator Kevin McGuigan has been involved with this activity for quite some time, as have other members of the consortium. And I myself got involved about 10 years ago through a project in Uganda. And the simplest approach is where we fill containers made of plastic, in particular 2-litre PET bottles, and expose them to the sun for 6 hours. And having, looked at this technology for quite some time now, we are happy that the water is safe to drink after this period. If it's a cloudy day, the exposure has to be a bit longer, maybe 2 days. And over the years, members of the collaboration have proven and shown the advantages of children in particular drinking water which has been disinfected using sodas. And the advantages have included a considerable reduction in absenteeism among school children. Much of the work is carried out in association with schools and also in rural households. And school attendance is one of the measurements we use in terms of the effectiveness of the technology. Child development is another measurement that has been made. And here you can see that median height was seriously advantaged if the children were drinking soda-treated water. This particular study was carried out in Kenya, which is not in the current study. Waterborne disease, of course, is the essence of why we want to disinfect water in the first place. And in developing countries, waterborne disease is a huge problem. And again, studies have shown a reduction in childhood diarrhea and dysentery, and a reduction in the ability of the children to contact cholera during an epidemic. So, all good. And maybe most importantly of all, the practical issues. It comes down to cost, and it is a very cost-effective approach to disinfecting water. On a practical side, it's also very, very attractive in that the other approaches to disinfecting water, which include the use of chlorine, tend not to be attractive to the user because of the smell of chlorine and the taste of chlorine from the water. It's also very expensive if people in the developing world have to boil their water. It's very expensive to have to source the timber and to make fires and boil the water. So in more recent times then, the thinking was, well, could we scale this up a little bit from 2-litre bottles? And the initial study was done on what were effectively containers from water coolers. And this was proven to be quite effective. Here you see the studies of some findings that were actually carried out in the south of Spain in collaboration with RCSI Bahrain, where of course there is lots of sunshine. And it was seen that the contaminants, in this case E. coli, were rapidly removed from the water. So there was no big concern then about scaling it up and worrying about could we use bigger volumes. And this is the thinking behind the Waterspout project, is to try and introduce technologies that will generate essentially large volumes of water in the various countries. And the program is developed around 7 work packages. Now, I'm just going to talk briefly about 5 of them, 1 to 5. The work package 6 is about dissemination. Of course, this will contribute to that. And work package 7 is about management, so I won't say very much about those. There are 3 main prototypes that we plan to develop, and these contribute to the work packages 1, 2 and 3. The first one is a solar rainwater reactor, and this is based in, the studies are based in in Uganda and South Africa. In work package 2, we're looking at developing a solar jerry can, a transparent jerry can. This is work that we will be focusing on in Ethiopia. And in work package 3, we're developing a ceramic filter in combination with sodas. Now, all of these 3 work packages are underpinned by scientific studies in work package 4 and in social science studies in work package 5. So work package 1, it will be based in Uganda, as I say, largely, and work will also be contributing from South Africa. And we've already done substantial work in Uganda, where the use of harvested rainwater is widespread. And it's quite well known that the harvested rainwater is not potable, it's not drinkable. And so we were using sodas in that community. We also did, Sorry? Am I going the wrong way? We also did another study on a larger scale apparatus, which you see here in the small picture, carried out at the university in Makerere in Kampala. And we were able to show that it was very effective in the conditions, the equatorial sunshine. They have wet seasons and dry seasons, so you have to consider its performance all year round, and this was shown to be very effective. So we'd now like to combine the two technologies and have a more continuous flow of water and availability of water from the harvested rainwater tanks. In the north of Ethiopia, in a region called Tigray, we're collaborating with the local university there to develop transparent jerry cans. The water, of course, is traditionally collected and stored in jerry cans. And so this will be a new departure now for the project. So we're currently investigating plastics, investigating the manufacture of the product, etc. And eventually it will be trialled both in the south of Spain and in Ethiopia. Thirdly, a study in Malawi. Now in Malawi they have traditionally used filters for their water. And in discussion with Kevin one time, we were talking about this and we noted that the filters are made of plastic as a rule. So we thought it might be interesting to combine the two technologies, and this is again what we're looking at here. Underpinning all of these activities then will be scientific studies, monitoring the microorganisms in the water, but also investigating some additives to the water, which is the kind of activity that Kieran talked about earlier in his talk. The expert in this area is Professor César Puiggan in Epiavel in Switzerland. So I won't attempt to explain that diagram, except that with certain additions you can enhance the activity of the sunlight. And a concern that we have with all of these containers involving plastics, maybe not entirely made of them, but involving plastics, is this question of leachables from plastics. And this is in fact the work that DCU will do. And we will be testing for mutagens and endocrine disruptors. And finally, work package 5 underpins all of this activity again. It is probably a particularly important work package led by National University of Ireland Maynooth, and it is the social science study of all of this work. Because of course it's not appropriate or easy to introduce technologies to communities if they're not accepting and understanding of what we're doing. In previous work we have found these social science involvements particularly important and useful. These are two pictures taken in an earlier project where a PhD student is explaining to the local community how to carry out SODAS. And the other picture I included is to remind me to say that the whole business of water collection and water supply is very much down to the women and children in these communities. And so the whole gender issue is particularly important as well. So that's just a very quick overview of the project. And we have here details now that you can learn a little bit more about it. We have the website, waterspout.eu. And we're also on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram and ResearchGate. And of course I'd like to acknowledge the EU for the funding and indeed all the partners in the project for their input into this presentation. Thank you.